All right, here we go. Incident command system, the role of the executive. If you're an executive and you want to know where you sit within the incident command system, if your company or organization uses that, then this is the video for you. I'm going to try and keep it very short, and we'll get right to it. What can you do? Get involved before the event. Take the training. You can make the time. You're not that special. You can set this solid tone from the top. Right? You should take this training. Taking at least the incident command system 100 level will benefit yourself. It'll increase your awareness and your knowledge of what's going on, and it'll set a really good tone from the top. How can you expect others to buy into this if you can't even take an hour or two to go through some basic training? It can seem a little overwhelming at first, but it will have lots of benefits for you to do it. Be clear on your expectations. Right? How is your interactions going to be with the incident commander or the liaison officer? What information do you need and when? Are there particular templates or forms or ways that you like to get the information? What kind of schedule do you need to get it on? Get to know your response team, especially the incident commander or who their alternates will be. You have to have a relationship of trust before an event. Too often I see people who, they're almost afraid to talk to their executive. You should have a solid relationship before an event happens. The executive incident commander briefing. Okay, so meet and discuss. What's the situation status? What are the goals, priorities, and expectations that the executive has? What's the policy or political or other concerns or constraints that the incident commander needs to be aware of? What's the media policy? Who's going to talk to the media? What are they going to say? Who are the representatives? This should just be a quick, let's be clear on this, because all of this should have been pre-established. The briefing, report, or update schedule. How often does the executive need to get updates or information? It might start off a little more frequent and then taper off as things go on. But what is that schedule? And then stick to it. Who's the point of contact for the executive? Very, very often I see executives just calling all over the place. They call contacts they have. They're not just going through one point of contact. Now, this may be because they're just nosy or they're getting in the way, or it may be because there's not a good established communication path and they're not getting the information that they need. Will they be talking to the incident commander or maybe the liaison officer? What should the executive do? Well, they should be advising on the policy, mission, direction, and authority. Right? If there are high-level concerns or things that the incident commander needs to be aware of, let them know. Make sure they're aware of company policy and procedures that still needs to be adhered to. Are there political, social, or environmental concerns or issues that the incident commander needs to know about? Are there cost considerations? Help the incident commander by going over these things. Monitor the incident commander. If they're doing good, leave them alone. If they're starting to stray from the policy or behaving or responding in a way that is really wrong, that the executive just can't abide by, okay, well then it's time to maybe step in and try and course correct that. If that doesn't work, I guess then you might have to have that incident commander step down and have their alternate take over. Stay out of the way. Once your point of contact is established, either the incident commander or the liaison officer, don't circumvent that. Don't go around them to try and get updates or information from other people. That's the whole point and beauty of the incident command structure. Everybody only reports to one person. They know who to provide information to when, and they know who will be requesting things from them. They're clear on their expectations. Don't meddle with things. Stick to the scheduled updates. Don't keep calling and asking for information. There's updates scheduled for a reason. Everybody responding is busy. Once the machine starts, let it run. If you don't like the way it's running, well, you should have gotten more involved prior to the event. You should be very clear on what's going to be happening, and you should be comfortable with what's happening. Think of it as a live radio show. Once it starts, you don't open that door and interrupt the host unless it's a real emergency. The host is the incident commander. If you don't like the way it's going, you should have reviewed what the program's going to be about and how they're going to, ask the questions, who they're going to interview way before they went on air. Once you're on air, don't interfere. Here's a quick summary of who does what. The activity. So who's going to advise on policy direction, high-level considerations, authority, monitor the incident commander, and provide support? That's the executive. The incident objectives. The incident commander will determine those objectives. Now, they work with their team, planning chief, the operations chief. They come up with those objectives. That's the incident commander's role. The strategy to achieve those objectives. That's the incident commander. Again, working with their team, but that falls to the incident commander. Those things are not determined by the executive. That's the incident commander. Tactics to achieve the strategies. That's the operations chief. Again, they work together as a team, but those tactics, once you have the objectives and the strategy, the tactics, that plan gets turned over to the ops chief and they make it happen. The executive stays out of the way. They don't do that. It was always interesting at emergency operations centers, municipal or wherever, when, the mayor's here, the president of the company's here. And what are they going to do? Now, if they just want to look in and see what's happening, great. Stay out of the way, right? You have to have that relationship ahead of time, and then you just let it go. There we go. Thanks very much. Under 6.5 minutes again.